welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be making MEV's house. I'm challenging myself to stay within the funds that were allocated in our story mode, so we are starting off with some high funds, yeah! Today I'll be joined, apparently, by Honey Bunny, my sweet little pitty bowl. We are going to stay within the limits of our budget, so no cheating. I'm going to try to make it a two-story house, just to make it extra challenging. And I'm going to tell you straight up, I'm going to try to make it something that we can build into, make nicer as we go. So it may not be the prettiest build you've ever seen, but I'd like to get some good bones in here so that as we're going through the series, we can make it better. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Alright, so as we jump into this, we're starting off in Windenburg. I'm just showing you the space we were using. Now, Windenburg has its own style. It's kind of Tudorish, but I'm not feeling it. I think we can make it better. So, let's build this a lot. Let's do it. Boom. Alright, sweet. So we're going to go into speed building mode at this point. That way you don't have to sit here, because it took me 2 hours to make this house. And I had a lot of fun with it. I have a interesting way of building houses. I feel like I don't like to build the shell. I like to feel out the places I go, so you'll kind of notice that I change stuff partially the way through, and I'm not quite, don't feel as restricted to having to stick to a design choice once I've made it. I mean, I like to experiment with half walls every now and then, and when I started this build, I didn't realize I was on the medium wall height, which honestly in a budget build, it's a waste of space to do the higher build walls. I think unless you're doing like a mansion or some kind of penthouse loft area or someplace where you need high build walls. Like I've had painter sims that I've used the tall wall heights to get more artwork on the wall in their studio space. Besides that, I'm not really a big fan of tall wall heights. I think if you're doing a smaller build, it really is to your benefit to use the shortest wall height possible. It makes the rooms look more full. Now keep in mind, when I'm building this, I have no little Cindy. I don't have her skill. She is amazing. If you haven't seen her, why? Why? This is also for people who aren't as experienced with The Sims, a good exercise in how to make things smaller. Now I'm using a Windows, so on my keyboard, there's a little button that looks like the little brackets. If you push these up or down, it'll actually make the object smaller or bigger. So if you're looking at my video wondering how I'm getting either the lights off they're so small, which honestly they have the same amount of light, but I can make them bigger or smaller. So I make them as small as possible so they're more like recessed lighting inside a house. Or if you're wondering how I've gotten rugs in here for so cheap later on in the video, I just sized them up. Oh, I am also a huge stickler about the toilet paper rolls in the bathrooms. There are some simmers who will forget to put trash cans or something else. I always remember my toilets. I always remember my toilet paper. Now in the bathroom, I did use the counters from Island Living. I know there was a lot of hate for them. I know there's a little space at the edge of the wall, but as we have a little more funds, we might be able to put something there. So this is a good representation of my interesting way of building. I like to build a room and kind of get a feel for that room and then go back in. Now this is full-on panic mode right here, remembering that I'm on a budget and that I'm not going to cheat, and wanting to make sure I have enough objects put aside so that I can continue my build and get everything in there. So I'm just honestly throwing stuff in there. Now, I know those of you who played before, you're looking at the counters like, those are kind of expensive, why'd you put those in? I actually wanted to use my custom content kitchen set instead, but can't afford those. They're $500 a counter, or 500 simoleons a counter. So instead, we are going to be using different ones, but we'll upgrade them later. Again, full on panic mode. So obviously not the nicest bed, and wanted to put a closet in, but it is what it is. Just going for design choices. Okay, well, I'm just gonna be building patios and stuff from this point on. So, I'm sure you're kind of wondering why I have the dog sleeping behind me, but this is my honey bunny. She likes to sit right next to me, if not like as close to on my lap as possible. She's about 2 years old, and I love her face. Now, she's not the oldest dog that I have. Oldest dog that I have is JJ, and she is recovering right now. She unfortunately had a stroke yesterday, so she is still a little loopy. Back to the build by mode, you might have just seen the windows there, how I'm shifting it out of thing. I'm using the Alt button to lower it down. It lets you move stuff within a space. I don't know if you have to have move objects on or bb.move objects on to use it. I just kind of have stuff running in the back of my game. So, and I like to use the, what are they called? I like to use the open hallway areas and build walls in there so you can put artwork on them or just kind of create a functional space. I kind of had like a home that I lived in when I was a kid in mind when I built this, kind of using the arches, remember the word, arches to take up space and make it more functional. I know a big open floor plan is a really big concept that a lot of people are using in their builds. But here, because we have a limited budget, I wanted to make sure I define the space. And then with windows, I get irritated when stuff like this, you can't make it line up where the sink is, like, the window is like right over the sink. I like to be able to look out. But I figured it out. Oh. And here we go to everyone's favorite, roofing. Roofs. Speaking of roofs, I'm trying to branch out with my designs here. I'm very guilty of doing the same thing over and over again in my builds. But here I'm trying to experiment with something cool. I always get irritated when things don't line up the way they should, so here I am just adjusting all the build stuff. But anyways, so my goal for this channel is to have fun, try some new stuff, and take you guys along for the ride. Now, my personal thoughts, because, you know, no one's asking me, but I'm really excited for University. I haven't seen a University pack since the Sims 2 pack, because I skipped University in Sims 3. I didn't have a lot of funds back when The Sims 3 was putting out expansion packs, and I kind of stopped. I went through these weird phases where I would be like super into The Sims, and I would play like 10 hours a day, which I know it's a lot. I would play 10 hours a day, like almost every single day, and then I would get to a point where I just didn't want to play anymore. And I think right around the time that the University pack came out for Sims 3, I was in a phase where I had to put the game down to focus on my life. I went through a lot of changes in that period, so I didn't really get to play with it that much. But Sims 2, I had a lot of fun with the University expansion pack. Now, things I'm looking forward to in University based on some of what the preview players have been saying is roommates. That's been exciting. Ever since we got City Living, I was kind of surprised that we didn't have a way to have roommates. Kind of having a non-playable character helping out with rent, maybe. I don't know how it's going to work outside of the universities. I'm excited to get a whole new world to play with. They haven't been doing as big of worlds in the packs, which it makes sense. There's not as much, there's not as many lots, and I do miss in Sims 2 and Sims 3 where you could build up, the tiny trash can. You know, I had the really nice recyclable trash can that gives you money every time you use it, and I couldn't afford it. I needed to do some stuff. And then here comes the point where I just started playing with my short wall toppers just because I got frustrated. But really excited to have a whole new world to play with and to be able to grow on the stories of my Sims and be able to take them to University. It doesn't sound like there's a lot of majors to play with, but we'll see. And here's back to the build. here's a good example of how to resize objects. So there's the original, a little bigger, and the biggest. It didn't quite work for what I wanted in this room. Did end up spending a little bit of money. But if you're trying to do a budget build, you can resize objects to make enough space. So I like to just throw little random things like Kleenex boxes in there. But yeah, like here, just quickly resize it just using those bracket buttons, and it'll make it bigger for you. So I tried to do a room that had a little bit of personality to it, something fun, and then I remembered I needed to save up enough money for an outdoor trash can, because I have had one too many builds where I've forgotten, and then I get really irritated because you can move stuff into a space and it'll let you do it, but then it'll cut into an object, which I don't like. So then I got a little creative, and I thought about some houses that I've seen in California where they have like a little hidden wall. And let me know if your state does it too. We don't have as many of them here in North Carolina where I'm at, but they had it behind a wall. So hopefully my Sims can use it. I didn't test a lot, but so I like to do something a little weird with my reveals. I like to be in the third-person camera. So we're walking into the space. The first place we're gonna go to is the bathroom. Since it was the first place I built, I like to do little separated toilet areas. It's how my house is, and I built a lot of houses like it. We're gonna go into the small living room, into the kitchen. Ooh, look, doubtful. I wonder why. I like the clean. I probably spent too much money in here, honestly. That little backspace back there is for a washer dryer. I had to get rid of them in order to afford the rest of the house, and honestly, it's a little easier to play when your clothes aren't constantly dirty. But we're gonna go into the bedroom now. Tried to do more of like a fun hit vibe in here, and then I forgot to change the color of the sink. Well, next time we see the sink, it'll be a different color. But we're gonna go on out. Like, I love the look of Windenburg, so I made this beautiful patio that you can look into the other areas. I should have taken all the decorations down for the holiday, but apparently today is Winterfest in my game, so I'll get to play that out a little bit later. We're gonna head back downstairs. Now this area is kind of sparse. I will admit that. It definitely looks like what happens when you move into a house after college, and I'll be upgrading as we have some funds. I have plans for a TV on that wall, and I put her metal rack from being in the military career over in that corner. And we're gonna go out and take a look at the house from the outside. I love the look of this house. It was really fun to make, and I think it ends up kind of looking industrial. So, I'm building a snow angel. But I'm very happy with how this house turned out. I'm excited to see how it grows with our channel. I'll probably end up building a new one every few sim years. But there she is making some snow angels. Alright, some of you have probably noticed that there is a dog in that house. Now I am introducing JJ into the storyline. She is my Cocker Spaniel. She is the one that had a stroke. I might actually see if I can go get her. Actually, yes, I'll be right back. I have captured her. This is JJ. She is 14 years old, and she'll be joining our game. She has been my pup since I was young. And I've had her all the way through college and everything else. She's been my little pupper, and she'll be in the game now. You guys will get Honey Bunny when a different person enters, or a different sim enters the storyline, because I did not get Honey by myself, but we'll find that storyline out as we go. But anyways, JJ and I want you to know that you are wonderful, you are special, and we hope you have a great day. Bye! To my 13 current subscribers, thank you for subscribing. If you are watching this video and haven't subscribed yet and you think I'm cool, fun, if you want to see some more of me, make sure you subscribe.